fitter, happier, more productive, comfortable, not drinking too much, regular exercise at the gym, 3 days a week, getting on better with your associate employee contemporaries, at ease, eating well, no more.
I honestly never thought I'd be making a musical analysis video of a song like this. Fitter Happier off of OK Computer by Radiohead. I'm pretty sure I skipped this track almost every time I listened to the album. And because of that, I didn't even know that there was music underneath the monotonous robotic voice telling me what I needed to do to improve my life. But now I have something else to listen to, and I wanted to read a few quotes from the guys. The others were downstairs rockin', and I crept upstairs and did this in 10 minutes. I was feeling incredible hysteria and panic, and it was so liberating to give the lyrics to this neutral-sounding computer. I had about 3 months where I couldn't write anything, but I constantly had lists. Then I realized that it was the only way I was going to say what I needed to say. But me, I listened to the piano bit. Tom basically had this checklist, like a 90s checklist, if you like, and he had written it out. There's a bit of him playing piano, which was in the rehearsal room. He was very drunk one night, which you can tell by the sloppy playing on it, and he just played out this melody and stuff. He was very anxious that it wasn't him saying the lyrics. This voice is neutral. By the computer saying it, it doesn't become a bit of pretentious art wank. It's something neutral in the way that the computer stumbles over words and doesn't get the pronunciation or the inflections right. So I'm going to focus on the piano and the strings now. And at first I was really trying to figure this out and thinking, I can't get this timing right. It's so strange. I'm like, well, it's Radiohead. And aside from it being played maybe a little bit loosely, it's actually in 6. And what that means is you can count 6 beats before the idea repeats. So I would say this is in 6/4 if you want to get technical. The kind of haunting, almost a little creepy, very depressing sounding piano melody, very minor. So we'll get into that. With the kind of neutral computer voice is a strange combination. So anyway, I'm curious to hear what you think about this song. If you love it, if you think it's brilliant, or if it was a skipper for you, if you think I'm reading too much into it, probably am. All right, so let's check out the piano. So the first kind of figure is this sort of stuck sounding, almost Phrygian, which is a very dark sounding scale kind of melodic figure. It goes... Okay, that's the main one. So it has this really tight half step, which makes things feel creepy and haunting and dramatic. Then you have this big reach up. When you get to the B flat, it kind of feels like a sense of resolution a little bit. If I played this enough, I would decide that it was in B flat minor, and I put a B flat underneath it to kind of establish the key center. Then it goes down to this F. That all fits in perfectly. But if you listen closely, the bass, the left hand doesn't come in right away. When it does, it hits a C. So it goes... Sorry. And there's just this weird persistent C, which is just not what I was expecting, and it creates dissonance. And it makes this whole melodic figure sound a lot more sinister than it does in the context of just being in minor. So this is creating some kind of, I think, emotional tension, you know? And then there's like this really loud, like, well, I'll just play. And then there's like a key change. Then it kind of keeps some of the same notes. Like the top notes stay the same, but the bottom notes change. And the bass line starts to paint a different picture. So the bottom notes, instead of doing C and D flat, now become D and E flat. It's interesting hearing them back to back, right? The second one almost sounds like the happy version of this one. But it's not actually happy because underneath it is a G. The G makes this melody actually sound more minor. It's all about relationships. Minor third. Again. Now, instead of going all the way up to the C, it goes down to B flat and then goes down to its adjacent lower note. So we get da-da, second time it's da-da. When that happens, it implies a chord change and the bass goes down to F sharp. Oh, I just realized that my software is calling it a G flat. Well, that's awkward and that's wrong. Anytime you see a G flat here, you're gonna replace it with an F sharp. Most people probably don't care about that kind of thing. This is called enharmonics, and it's about properly spelling chords. But if you are someone who cares about that, I do apologize for offending your senses. I'm going to play it up an octave. I think you'll be able to hear a little bit better. So. This implies a chord progression. It could be G minor to D major 7, or it could be G minor to an F sharp diminished, which sounds a lot more fragile, doesn't have any strength behind it. So that withering feeling, I kind of like that interpretation best. So, because then the next part, it sort of follows a pattern. So we had this, and then very classical kind of repetition of the motif through chords. And then it sort of wraps up the phrase like, so there's little like da-da-da-da, also very classical, or sometimes it goes da-da-da-da. There's a lot of yeah, it does kind of sound like that chord, doesn't it? F sharp dominant 7th chord. At one point, we go back to the beginning chord with this one. And the way they get back into it is very, very dark sounding, I think. So we have... there we go. And the song kind of ends there. So it does migrate back. Even Drunk Tom knew what he was doing. The strings come in and they also shore up those chords that I was talking about. So you can kind of hear the G minor and then maybe this chord, this chord. You'll notice that this doesn't really have a song structure, right? It's more of a theme that gets sort of repeated and sort of meanders. What is my cat doing? The last thing I'll say is that this chord progression implies the harmonic minor scale, which Radiohead is definitely known to gravitate towards very naturally, and many, many, many other bands from many, many, many genres. But other Radiohead songs that use this scale would be I Will, Spinning Plates, Jigsaw Falling Into Place, Exit Music for a Film, the verse. And it's because it really is good. It really works. It has this very satisfying cadence, which is when you've got a couple chords and they sort of complete an idea and you feel like you get to a place of completion and rest and you're like, yeah, that was satisfying. So for example, this sound. That's the cadence of harmonic minor. This chord being major, it's the 5th chord in the scale, and then it resolves, the tension resolves back to the home chord. can like hear almost every classical song that's in a minor key resonating in your ears right now, right? Harmonic minor can embody a lot of different, I think, feelings and vibes. But one thing it does very well is it does sound often kind of powerful and also maybe just a little bit evil. Just a little bit. Maybe not evil. I don't want to use that word so loosely. I know it has different meanings for different people. I guess like the Imperial March from Star Wars is in harmonic minor. The dun 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 dun, right? And in that case, it really does sound quite evil. This doesn't sound evil, but it does have a little bit of that like creepy and dramatic sound to it. Just to put this into context, and then we'll wrap up, is if this were just written in regular minor, this song would sound like this, or this part of it. Now it just sounds really sad. Right? Harmonic minor. That little twist. And that concludes my analysis of Fitter Happier. Now, I'm going to go take some of that advice right now and get some sleep. I hope you will too. Don't forget to hydrate. Special thanks to my patrons for supporting me. If you want to become a supporter, patron, be a part of listening parties and educational content and just fun what have yous, I hope you will consider checking it out. What's the next track? I actually forgot. I feel like it's a really, really good one. Is it Lucky? Oh, it's Electioneering. Now, this one's a little controversial because, well, you'll just have to wait. You jump forwards and something backwards, and somewhere we will meet. Needs more cowbell. Until next time, ow.